All right, there it is. It's working. Cool. Internet's been slow the last couple days. All right, getting my coffee ready. I got my coffee. Bam. I got my sign. I got tablet. I got emailed questions. It's gonna be a good show. And in three, two, one. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, August 27th. My sign's up there now, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Oh, good stuff. You ever have a plan that is missing a piece, and you know it's missing a piece, but when you finally figure out the missing piece, everything else falls together? Well, that's what's happened with me. So I think I mentioned yesterday that I'm taking a few days off. I'm taking Friday off. It's a holiday weekend. I'm also taking Tuesday off. So one of those brilliant moments where you take off 2 days of work and you end up with a 5-day weekend. And I had some ideas of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, but I wasn't quite sure how to put it all together because it's a holiday weekend. So hotels and everything are really expensive. I didn't want to stay with friends because I always do that. And you know what? I love my friends. But when you stay with friends, it's different, right? There's an obligation there. And so I'm looking around, and the cheapest I'm coming up with rooms is $150 a night. And at best, that's 4 nights. I really didn't want to spend $750, by the time taxes come in, to stay in hotels. And I didn't want to spend the same amount for like an Airbnb because that's all I was coming up with. What I really wanted to do was, stay by a lake and travel around and swim in lakes and rivers and then I had this moment. I said, wait a second. Are there places where nobody's going to harass me if I sleep in my car? Because I have no problem sleeping in my car. I've done it plenty of times. Not lately, but I can sleep in my car. Well, guess what? There are plenty of places. You know the number one place you can sleep in your car and nobody's going to bother you? And they're totally fine with it? Walmart parking lots. Apparently Walmart is it's not just some unspoken rule, like it's official company policy. There are Walmarts everywhere. So I just got to take my entire hotel budget and spend it on other things. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, do whatever I want, and sleep in the car. I'm stoked. So what you don't see on the other side of the camera, there's a pile of stuff I've started getting ready because now I know what I'm doing. So yesterday was Monday. Had admittedly a tough day. Some challenging things popped up, and just emotionally, it wasn't an easy day. Not for any one reason, but for multiple reasons. And last Monday, I was committed to going to Taekwondo because I hadn't been in a while. And I said, I'm going to go. And then a bunch of stuff popped up because it always pops up on Monday for some reason. And so I said, nope, I'm going to go the next Monday, which was yesterday. And this stuff popped up. And I went, oh my God. I really want to go. But I'm really frustrated. And when I go, I always go to the kids' class. I work with the children. And I like working with the children. But I was nervous about how I was going to be with them. So I went to the gym. I worked out, hoping that that was going to help me feel better. And it was starting to. And then there was this guy staring at me. He really wanted the piece of equipment I was on. And he didn't say anything, but made sure I knew. And made sure I knew that he felt I had been on there too long, even though I had just started at that point. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking, this is not the day that I want to deal with this. I'm already upset. I'm already feeling vulnerable. And now this guy's contributing to it. Now, of course, there's a lesson in there. Nobody can make you feel anything. That's entirely up to you. And it didn't get better through the workout. And I went in my car and I said, look, I have two options. I can go home or go somewhere and feel guilty, feel bad about this. Or I can drive to town. It's about 30 minutes away where Taekwondo is, a little bit more. Where I can just drive there and see how I feel when I get there. And I gave myself permission to drive there and not go to class. To drive there and turn around and come back. And I drove there. And by the time I got there, I felt better. Not great, but better. And I went to class, and I was the first one in, because I usually am. And I changed, and I started to stretch. And everything else fell away. I was there, I was in the dojang, and nothing else mattered. Good morning, Jordan. Jordan says, morning, here's to the morning grind and a fresh cup. Absolutely. And as usually happens with the kids' class, the instructor, shout out to Master Rhoda, the instructor will, split the class and give me a few kids. We have school starting. I know every part of the country does it a little bit differently, but we have school starting around here today, tomorrow, depending on the school. So class was very small. So he gave me a couple students, and we worked on some kicks. And I had a great time. And then for the adult class, my good friend Nish, who's been on the show, Mr. Grout, and his former instructor, Master Joe Lenahan, who passed on the school to Mr. Grout, who's also been on the show. What was he, episode 14, I think? They both showed up. So I got the chance to see them and to train with them, and it's been ages. And it was great. So I found a way through. And I'm not suggesting that what I did would work for you, but I think the lesson in here for me is that quite often on the other side of these challenges are very good things. And if you allow the challenges to be roadblocks, you miss out on the good stuff. If I had known when I was deliberating, do I go or do I kind of indulge these feelings? If I had known that two people that I like very much were going to be at class, it wouldn't have been a question. Oh, I'm going to find a way through this. Well, I found a way through this. And I found a way through it for me, not for them. And it feels that much more rewarding and powerful. Stacy, what did Stacy say? Sorry, it was a rough day, and glad that getting to Taekwondo helped. And then I came home and made dinner, did some email. Got another busy day. 2 interviews on the books today, with helping a friend in between, and just trying to get through a bunch of email and figuring out all the little things I'm going to need for this car camping trip. It's funny, there are a lot of things I was going to bring that I don't need now, because I'm not going to be in a hotel. Minimalist. How little can I take? So that'll be fun. All right, but we got some questions, and I'm going to answer them now. If you want to ask me a question, best place to do it is drop it below when you listen to this episode, watch this episode. Of course, if you're listening in audio later, which you can do in any podcast app, you can email me, and I'll answer those questions. So I'm going to start with the email questions today, and these come in from Jordan, who's watching live right now. So Jordan, thank you. If you had to choose a country, should you ever had to be forced to go and train in for the rest of your days, what would it be? Where would I, if I had to stay in one country and train for the rest of my life, where would it be? Well, here's the funny thing about that. I've never trained anywhere outside of the US. I'd like to. We've had a lot of people on the show who've trained in Thailand, and a friend of mine and I, we've talked about making Thailand a vacation. Do some Muay Thai. I'm sure it's been very commercialized, so I'm not sure. Fun for me as a real serious martial artist. Of course, Okinawa is on the list. Japan is on the list. Korea, China. Going to these places. But if I had to stay in another country to train without having been there, I'm going to say Australia. And the reason I'm going to say Australia is that we've had a number of Aussies on the show. And I've gotten along really well with just about all of them. I want to say we've had, I'm thinking of 1, 2, 3 right off the top of my head that were great episodes. One of whom I stay in touch with. He contributes to Martial Journal, and I would call him a friend. That's Mr. Ron Amram. And so just based on the personality of these 3 martial artists, going 3 for 3, I would say Australia. Next question. What item are you looking to create and sell next as you progress in the company? So I don't reveal that stuff. Jordan saying, I didn't even consider Australia, putting it on his bucket list. China for next summer. That's awesome. I'm not going to reveal the roadmap of products. Yes, there's a roadmap. It's not written out, but it's in my head. But I can give you something that I would like to do that is far down the list. So I'll half answer the question. I would like to do I'm thinking how far down do we want to go? I would like to do a line of bags, heavy bags, stand-up bags, that are more of a system. And if somebody chooses to take this idea and run with it, that's fine. It's the R&D on it's going to be really expensive, which is why it's far down the list. But if you've ever had a stand-up bag, of course, Wavemaster from Century, that's kind of the de facto standard. You know that you can take it, you can rotate it, you can pull the whole top off. What if there was something that allowed you to hang that bag? So you could hit it. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be as heavy as a heavy bag, but what if you found something in between? What if that base, that stand-up base, was a little more rugged, and you had something with more weight to it to put on it, and then you could have it standing up or hanging. I think there's some stuff in there with creating a more versatile bag. There's a bunch of stuff around that. It's the whole of the training tools. We're focused right now on apparel and on uniforms and on protective equipment, because that stuff is far less expensive to develop and sell. It's a lot simpler for us to carry a bunch of inventory that costs, or that we sell for, $20, $30, $50, than to have these things that you know, the shipping alone is over $100, right? Jordan says, if you make it, I'll buy it. Well, there's one. We got 1%. We got one committed. I have ideas. I have a lot of ideas, and I've learned that most of my ideas, while they might be good ideas, are not market-ready products. Other questions. We've got some questions over here. Over the years, these come in from Frank. Over the years, you have heard many martial arts stories. Which story is your favorite? This is the interesting thing about martial arts radio, is that I listen to a ton of people's stories, and I don't remember the details of them. I remember how I feel talking to them. I remember whether I liked them or not, usually. I remember bits and pieces. Oh, excuse me. But for me, emotion is what I remember more than anything else. Not so much the details as it would be a book. So when I think over the people that I've talked to, and I've talked to, we had episode 426, so what's that? 220 interviews? The first 36 episodes were all interviews, 34. So 34, 7, yeah. So 240 interviews. So out of these 240 interviews, I don't think I remember the details. And I probably don't remember the details because I'm looking at these things very differently than everyone else. So there's no favorite story. The one that's most memorable for me is the most recent one. Always. It's the one that's still in there. I don't go back. I don't listen to episodes. Now that I'm not doing the editing, I hear the interview when I conduct it. I don't hear the final product. The only time I've done that, I forced myself a few months later to listen to the episode with Mr. Matt Page, also known as Master Ken. Jordan saying goodbye. All right, see you, Jordan. Talk later. And I didn't like listening to my voice. Most of us don't like listening to our voice. So there it is. Question 2 is, what's my favorite story from my time training? And this is something I wrestle with because I hear these great stories from everyone on the show. I don't have those stories. My stories are simple. And the only story I have that is complex, that is interesting, is the story of Whistlekick. This idea that just an average guy started talking to his friends for a podcast and has built that into something where TV and movie studios reach out as part of the promotion for upcoming shows. We've reached that level that they're coming to us. If you look at the most famous people that have been on the show, they've reached out to us. And that's pretty cool. Because I wasn't more qualified to do this show. I wasn't more qualified to do Whistlekick than anyone else. I mean, maybe I've got more business experience than other people. But if there's a story there, it's the overall story. It's not this one time I was with these people, this happened. It's the trajectory that I'm on. It's pretty cool. Final question for today. It's pretty good. 5 questions in a day. What would you like your legacy to be? That's pretty straightforward. I can answer that easily. I would like my legacy to be that the world started to see martial arts a little differently and more people started to participate, and it had a measurable impact, positive impact on the world. That's all I'm going for here. I want more people to train, and I want the world to be a better place because of it. I believe if more people train, the world will be a better place. I don't think we have to do anything differently there other than let's get more people training. I hope someday we can look back and we can look at Whistlekick and we can look at martial arts participation and say because of Whistlekick, martial arts participation increased. I've heard from some individuals who have said, I started training because of you, or maybe I haven't had that. I've started training again because I heard martial arts radio. That's been pretty powerful. That means the world to me. And in that sense, I already feel like we've been successful. But it doesn't mean we're going to stop, because while I'm honored that some people have started training, I want it to be so many people that I can't respond to the emails. I want dozens, hundreds, millions of people. That's what I'm going in for. I'll give you your homework in a second. Remember, we do the show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, but you can catch it later at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast feed. Homework time. What do you want your legacy to be? We all leave stuff behind. Feelings, memories, stuff. What's important to you? We don't talk about that too often. Take a moment, consider what's important to you and what you want your legacy to be. And don't wait. Start creating it now. Because you never know. You never know. Okay. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.